Introduction. Good morning, everyone. So greeting from Toronto. So welcome. My name is Nazanin, and I'm the Assistant Branch Manager at RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. So I want to just start by saying thank you to everybody for attending today. I really appreciate you joining us for the session, and thank you for investing in yourself by learning something new today. So we are very, very excited to be here today as we have very, very special guests. We have Christine Connery, Senior Consultant and EY company, as she has a very interesting topic she's going to talk about, which is the breaking common myths to thrive personally and professionally in Canada. So Christine was a newcomer herself. I was a newcomer myself, and I went through lots of challenges when I came to Canada. And I wish I could attend like webinars like today. You know, we all come to Canada with different expectations, and sometimes we get disappointed, for example, because of lacking Canadian experience. So Christine is gonna go over so many great tips, insight, and advice today, and I can't really wait to hear from her. So we also have Ria Ragbir and Farah Mohammed, our banking advisors, who are here to support us, and we're gonna hear from them very shortly. So now let me just go over the agenda of the day. So here's what we have for you today. So we have had Keisha give us an opening from ACCESS, so thank you. I'm going to do a bit of an introduction about RBC to get to know RBC as an organization, and Ria gonna introduce our team and what we do at RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. And then we are going to get into the main presentation by Christine, and at the end we are going to open up for some Q&A from you guys. And if you have any question, as Keisha mentions, just put them in the chat and we're happy to answer them. And then we will wrap up and we will be done by 12 o'clock. All right, so let's get started. So before we get to the main presentation, as a proud RBCer, I would like to talk about RBC. So as you can see on the screen, RBC purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And our vision is to be among the world's most trusted and successful financial institution. So RBC has around 86,000 employees. So we all are guided by one set of values. So first is client first. We always earn the right to be our client's first choice. So this means that we put clients' needs above our own to build lasting relationship, listen with empathy, understand client needs, to offer the right advice and solution, and bring the best of RBC. So second is collaboration. We win as one RBC. We are partners. We work together as one RBC to make sure our clients and our communities prosper. So we believe in each other and trust in teamwork. We share knowledge, we listen and learn and achieve more together. So the other one is accountability. So we take our ownership for personal and collective high performance. Diversity and inclusion, which is very important for us as we embrace diversity for innovation and growth. So we speak up for inclusion, empower people to grow and achieve more. And I think that's why we are such a strong and successful organization. Just like Canada, that is a very successful country and a very attractive country to live in because of the diversity of thoughts, experience, and people all around the world bring their own perspective, same as RBC. And the last but not the least, integrity. So we hold ourselves to the highest standard to build trust. Awesome. So that was just a little bit about RBC that I wanted to share with you. So now I would like to hand it over to my dear colleague, Ria Ragbir, to introduce RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. Thank you, Ria. Over to you.
Thank you, Naz. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all who joined us. We're very excited today because, as Naz mentioned, and I do echo the same sentiments, it's a wonderful topic for discussion today, and it was definitely curated by Christine. I'm so excited to have her here, and you'll hear more about her in the upcoming slides. So we are part of the Newcomer Specialist team, and part of my team is here today. On our next slide, Nazanin, who you already heard from, is our branch leader. Farah and Felipe and I were banking advisors. So we're always here to provide the support, the guidance, and the resources and the information, the connections to the newcomer community, just to make your settlement in Canada as easy as possible. So we're all guided by the same set of principles and values, as Naz mentioned. Yes, we're a tiny team, but we actually have an extensive support team throughout the GTR, from the different departments, the different branches, even the different markets and neighboring markets. This way we can continuously reach more clients and the communities in a virtual setting. So we sometimes lean on industry experts. And it's a great example today because I've met Christine in 2019, and she's always willing to volunteer her time and to our team and share her skills and her expertise. And as a newcomer, we always tend to lean on the newcomers that we've met along the way since we've opened our branch, because we all learn from each other. And having Christine here today, it's a great example because we can all learn from her today. And, you know, it's an interesting topic, breaking the common myths, you know, so you can thrive professionally in your career here in Canada. And we've actually leaned on community partners like ACCESS Employment, and we're so grateful for partners like ACCESS Employment through this incredible journey. Together, we can reach more clients and communities with the value beyond banking, and really showcasing the strength of the One RBC. And we're also proud of the winning partnership within the community to our presence, the team, especially our events, and of course the community partners. So we are a bank and we're pleased to deliver financial literacy events, and we also have beyond banking pieces, just like today, you know, with our interesting topic. But as a bank, we provide tailored events based on the host organization and what their client wants at that time. So with these events, we're able to provide advice on the Canadian banking system because we do know it varies from country to country. And of course, as I mentioned, the beyond banking pieces. So our beyond banking selections, it's more so advice just given by like our newcomers, just like today. So I do hope that, you know, you have a better understanding of RBC and the newcomer specialist team. And now for the highlight, Christine, the wonderful smile that Christine has. Like I mentioned, I met her in 2019. She's a wonderful person. She was part of the ACCESS Employment cybersecurity cohort. And that's when we initially met. But I'll hand it over to you, Christine. I can't talk today. So just over to you to introduce yourself. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ria. And thank you so much, RBC and ACCESS, for having me over here today. As Ria mentioned, I've known Keisha and Ria and Naz for a really long time, and I'm so glad for this entire team here that I get to volunteer with and just, you know, help so many newcomers here. So thank you again for having me over here, and really excited for today's webinar. Yeah, so I came to Canada in 2018, landed in Toronto, have been here since then. Really love Toronto and everything that this beautiful city brings. I will give a more introduction about myself in the next few slides, but yeah, something about me personally, like some of the things I love here is definitely Harbourfront is my place to go when I just want to relax and chill. It's a beautiful waterfront spot. When I want to unwind, that's where you'll find me. And some of the things I love to do is, again, explore the city, travel, and I'm a foodie, so that's something I think I found the right city for me to live in. Next slide, please. So today we'll be talking about breaking common myths to thrive professionally and personally in Canada. This is a topic that is very close to my heart because I talk to a lot of newcomers, and me being a newcomer myself, I've heard a lot of these myths, and for a long time I thought they were true, but staying in Canada and interacting with a lot of people here, I've been able to see what are the myths and what are really true, and some of the myths, how they could be really broken, and how even if that kind of is the way life is, how do you still thrive and excel in Canada is a land of opportunities, and how do you gain the best of that? So the next slide, please. All right, so my professional journey here so far, if you couldn't tell already, I am Indian by ethnicity, born and brought up in India, in Bangalore, if we have anyone watching from India. I did my engineering in electronics and communications, and I worked at Deloitte. That's where I started my career as a risk technology consultant. Love what I do there and wanted to explore other opportunities out there for me in the world. So I did my first move to Australia, did my master's at the University of Melbourne, and did an exchange program in Carnegie Mellon in the US. After which I came to Canada, and my first time in Canada was almost near the winter. So definitely, and I think I landed around the best time, September. And I knew Canada was a place where I would be settling down for a longer time. I started off with joining ACCES in, I think it was January, now that I think of it, January 2019, and I was able to really connect, make some of my first friends in Canada and at ACCES, and that was really a kickstart to my career. And I've been working with EY for the last few months and IBM before that. So it's definitely been a great journey for me professionally so far. And it's just wonderful to see how Canada has helped me grow so much, both personally and professionally. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so why do I love Canada? This is a question a lot of people ask me. They're like, so why did you move to Canada? So I keep telling them, well, each person has their own story. I'm more than happy to share mine. But I just want to let the audience here know that I am by no means selling Canada to anyone here. This is my personal way of why I love Canada. And again, each of us here, if you talk to different immigrants, we each have our own story. So why do I love Canada? One of the things is that I noticed very initially, almost right when I landed in the airport, and I've traveled a bit, not as much as I want to, but I have traveled the world a bit. And I can tell you by far, Canada has the kindest and the most friendly people ever. And this is overall, you ask everyone, this is what they would say. It's a country where people are so friendly and welcoming and loving. And as a newcomer, there were a lot of questions I had, a lot of things I did not know, because culturally things are very different. Even I lived in the States and I thought it would be similar to the States, but things are different. And people are always so welcoming and so open to help and, just lend that helping hand. And that was what immediately attracted me to Canada. I was like, man, these people are nice. It was very important for me to be with a group of people that are nice and supportive. And as I said before, people are welcoming, and it's a part of, you feel like you're a part of a global family. That's how I have felt so far. So I just have people from all over the world in as a part of my family. So that's one of the reasons my top reason why I love Canada. Also, as I mentioned before, I think Toronto is the best place for me because it is really the food paradise. And this is my naming convention. It's not named by anyone. I think it's really awesome, the varieties that you have here and just so many options to travel and to enjoy for all the people who love travel like me. This was my place to be. It's definitely diverse representations from all over the world. And that brings a huge part to the city, which one of the reasons I wanted to go out and see the world is to really understand that diversity and to be a part of like a global community. That's definitely what why I love Canada. And of course, a land of ample opportunities. It was in Canada where I was able to kickstart my career in cybersecurity, which I am in today. I was able to really build on some of my personal interests and the exploration of places and food and all those different fun stuff. And finally, it's the place I call home. I have friends here, I have family here, and this is home. Next slide, please. All right, so going down into the topic of today, we'll be addressing the common myths that we are told and believed in as immigrants to Canada. And as I said today, my goal is not to give you a flowery picture of Canada, but to give you an honest view of why these myths are not true. Then we will discuss about how you would thrive personally and professionally. So I was very particular that I wanted to talk about both professional and personal, because I believe that as you come here, you bring your whole self. It's not just you want to thrive in your career, but you also, we come with families, we come with a lot of interest, and that makes us who we are today. So I want to touch upon both personal as well as professional, because I've seen myself the past 4 years grow both in these both aspects. So some of the professional myths we will be breaking today, and I hope I would help break that if that's something that is in your minds, is first, Canadian work experience is mandatory to find a job in Canada. It is not, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you how you could find a job without Canadian work experience. Because trust me, we are a lot of immigrants, and if that was true, none of us would have found our first job. So that's a myth. The second one is, to find a job in Canada, all you have to do is apply online. And this is something I'm very passionate about, but because I struggled with this a lot. I thought applying online is all you need. And the ACCESS team knows my story, and even the RBC meeting place, it was a hard journey for me initially, but when I knew that this was not it, that I am a strong advocate of how this is not what you should only be doing. And so we will address that as well. The third thing I hear often is racism is a major issue in Canada, and that is a myth. That is something we will talk about today as well. Yeah, I'm touching on sensitive topics as well, because I think that it's important to know the facts and to also be confident when you're doing a move, because I know it was a big move for me, and I know as many of you move here, you would want to know how to answer, and I hope I can answer these questions for you today. The fourth one we'll be talking about is it is unlivable weather conditions. I have got this so much. Is it possible to live in Canada? How's the weather? We'll be talking about all the fun stuff about the weather today, and just a piece of not information, but just a fun fact. I grew up in India, as I mentioned, very hot. It's pretty hot, but my favorite weather in Canada is the winter. So it's definitely livable. And the other question, like a lot of non-English, non-native English speakers ask is, I may be judged for my accent. And that's, again, not true. And I will tell you why and how. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so the first myth that I see we have some questions, but we have a Q&A session where we will be talking about the different, where we can answer any questions you have. So the first myth, and this is, I think, one of the most common, is Canadian work experience is mandatory to find a job in Canada. I've heard this a lot. A lot of people told me this before coming to Canada, and I did think it was true for a really long time. But then I have talked to a lot of people, and I kind of understood, well, what is Canadian work? What is that work experience, right? It's just going down to understand, what does it really mean? So when someone asks, well, do you have have the work experience, what do they actually mean by it? And this is what I see a lot of companies or a lot of recruiters actually mean when they ask, like, do you have the work experience? Or do you have the experience? It means, are you familiar with the workplace culture, or social cues, or expectations, or Canadian work ethics? And I think that is what they're looking for when you ask about, well, are you able to really communicate and be a part of the team that you work with. Because as I mentioned, I have worked for a bit in the US before. I thought it's the same. I mean, it's just a border away and you'll be in Canada, like big deal. Like it's definitely the same work culture. And I was so wrong. The work culture is different. A lot of things are different. And so I think that is something that companies look at. And I think that's a fair thing to see whether you would be a part of the team, or would you it would be difficult to kind of integrate within the team. And so there are a number of ways in which you could address this, and the same thing that I did initially. So when I realized, well, yeah, there is a gap, and in order for me to let my employers, future employers, know that they can be confident in the skills that I bring to the table, I need to show them that I understand the work culture, I understand the work ethics. And so one thing that I did, and I highly encourage a lot of people to do, is study or freelance or volunteer opportunities. There are ample of opportunities that you could take advantage of. For me, I did the bridging program with ACCESS Employment. So ACCESS Employment does provide bridging programs for the course that you are interested in. For example, for me, I had a technology risk consulting background. I wanted to build my career in cybersecurity, and they had exactly a cybersecurity program, a bridging program. And these programs are I'm not sure about the details, but a lot of the bridging programs are almost full or partly sponsored by the government, and so which you can take through ACCESS Employment. So there is not a huge financial burden on taking those programs, and I think that was so helpful for me as a new immigrant, and just to be able to take part in these programs and have someone to help me go through, all right, these are the work ethics, but not just that, like we'll talk about cybersecurity, the different technical aspects to it, and as well as resumes. Like there's a whole different way in which Canadian resumes versus the ones I had in India, versus the ones I would have in the US. So just tailoring the resume, just all these things that help you be a part of the work culture here is what was really helpful for me. Volunteer opportunities are also great because you would get to interact with organizations, you would get to talk to people, learn about the culture, and not just that. Through volunteer opportunities, you could build relationships that could further lead to work opportunities. And I have seen this happen a lot, where you just volunteer, but then over time, you build relationships with either with that organization or with someone who you're also volunteering with. And there you go, there's an opportunity right there. And volunteer opportunities are also considered a big part when people are looking at your resume. When a HR looks at the kind of work you do, that's not discounted. That adds on to your resume. The next one is certification in your fields. Again, to prove to the hiring manager or the HR that you know what you're bringing to the table. It's good to have certifications. For example, for me in cybersecurity, I have a CISSP, which when you have that, it's a globally renowned certification, which shows that, yeah, you have these skills and these are transferable skills that you can bring to the organization. Another certification is the PMP for all the project managers. That's something that definitely adds to your resume, to your resume or your work profile. So if you're still in your home country and if you have some time and you know which industry or fields you want to have your career in, I would highly recommend take this time to get some certifications under your belt that really adds value to your brand. The third one, and this for me was a game changer, guys, seriously. So strategic job search. So what does that mean? So again, I'm not sure which countries are represented here in this call, but I know for me personally, as I'm from India, and I have talked to a few friends of mine who are from Nigeria, and we did this program, we did the bridging program together. And this is how it works in our home countries. So in our job profile, we do everything. Like we have multiple things that we do, and we wear a lot of hats in our day-to-day work. And so that's one of the things we brought into our resume, and we said, hey, I'll give you my example. So when I came in, I said, I can do risk consulting. I can do application security. I can do business consulting. I can do technology consulting. And so I had all these different things in my resume, and I was applying for jobs, and I was like, I don't see why I'm not getting a job. And it was my first networking event ever in Canada with it was one organized with RBC, with one of the organizations they work with, and I was terrified. There was I didn't know what to say, who to talk to, but I said, you know what? I have come all the way here to Canada. I think I can survive one evening in a networking event. Let me just do this. So I went there and I had this opportunity to talk to the HR, and I was telling her all these different things I could do. And she's like, hold on, Christine, what is the one thing you do and you do really well? I was like, excuse me? I do, there are different things. And then she's like, no, what is the one thing you do and you do really well? And this is the thing you want to build your career in. That's what we want to hear, because your resume looks very confusing and it has a lot of different elements. But when we look at a resume, we're trying to narrow down as to what is this person good at. And that for me was really changed the way and I looked at jobs. So when I went back, I had one job for application security. I had one job application where I talked about my experience in strategy and risk consulting. So these applications was really strategic, and that helped me crack the job market, where I was like, yeah, they know what I'm good at. And some of these skills are, of course, transferable. It's not that you need to work only in Canada and you gain these skills, right? They're very specific to an industry. Unless, of course, there are jobs like in the government. Then, of course, you need some, it's not that you need a Canadian work experience, is you need clearances. So that's a different thing. So that's something that would be mandated based on the jobs. All right, so the next one is, as I mentioned before in my previous topic, promote your niche. Talk about what you're good at. Oh, again, a lot of us don't like to talk about ourselves, but it's important to promote what you're good at. Like, unless one of my mentors keeps telling me, if you don't ask, you don't get, Christine. So she keeps probing me. She's like, ask. If you want something, ask for it. So when you go out to talk to your family, your friends you meet here in Toronto, or anywhere you choose to move to Canada, promote yourself. Talk about the skills that you bring, and you just don't know where that opportunity may be. And the last here is explore different career options, right? As we come to Canada, all of us have to start somewhere. So I hope this helped you unveil the fact that Canadian work experience is not mandatory. There are a number of ways in which you can get a job without a Canadian work experience as such. Explore different career options. I will, just for the sake of time, I will just list down some real quick. And of course, feel free to reach out to me if you want to know more about it. Look at maybe it's a clean slate, right? So you can start maybe a career change if you would like to explore something else, or you would want to see about different industry you want to work in. You've always worked in project management in say education. Now you want to look at project management in the banking sector, or like look at different options like that. Or you can also have a lot of entrepreneurial and freelance options. And if none of these work, it's totally okay to probably take a role lower than what you had back in your home country. And here in Canada, people look at your skills. So it's easy to grow fast. There's nothing wrong in taking maybe a role or two lower and then growing, but that is not the mandate. Like, there are options that you have. Next slide, please. All right, something that's very, very, very close to my heart is online job applying online is enough. Absolutely not. This is from experience of sitting in Starbucks for 2.5 months, applying for jobs 9 to 5. That was my full-time job. I was just applying and I was like, I have no idea why I am not getting any offers. And this was, again, my first job in Canada. I'm talking about people applying for their first job. It was hard. I was not able to understand what was I missing. And that first networking event I talked about changed the trajectory of everything. Networking is really important here and is an important element with what I was talking about, Canadian work ethics. That's an important element in order to crack your first job. People are, it's a very personal or people-oriented culture here. And so it's important to attend these networking events, promote your skills, promote your niche, talk about what other people are doing, and understand like some of the ways in which people work and some of the ways in which companies work, what companies are looking for. There are ample amount of networking events. Just start with, look at LinkedIn, look at meetups, check Access Employment. They have a lot of networking events as well. One of my first job interviews, I found attending a networking event that ACCES had applied, ACCES was organizing. So great opportunities. Never ever underestimate the power of networking. That is very key in kind of, what are you looking for in networking, right? So something's real quick. You're looking to build a connection, not to ask for a job. Very important. If you just go up to someone and say, hey, can you give me a job? 95% of the time they'll say, what? Like, I don't even know you, which is fair enough. So make sure you come with the attitude of wanting to show what your skills are, bring your skills to the table, as well as build networks and be genuine about it. References play a huge role in the job market here. So through building those relationships, you'd be able to get references. Informational interviews, if you have not heard about this, it is where you talk to another, where you build this connection at either a networking event or through LinkedIn or through a connection who you know. Talk to get their person's contact details, set up a time where you can talk to them, and it's not they interviewing you, but you're kind of asking them questions about to learn more about the industry, about their career. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, so that's great with informational interviews, and people are very open to it. Mentorship and professional relationships, as I talked to, are important. Mentorship, again, ACCES offers a really good mentorship program with an organization that I am blanking on right now, but if you contact them, I'm sure they would give you more details about that and help set up that mentoring program. Highly recommend that. Online forums, like I know there are a lot of Facebook forums for, again, I'm Indian by origin. I'm not promoting this, but there is Indians in Toronto. I think that's a Facebook group which is very active, helps in providing advice or connections or mentorship. In cybersecurity, we have a leading cyber ladies. That's a group that is in Toronto, always open to connecting and building mentorship opportunities and sharing ideas. So I would highly recommend that as well. All right, so I know I'm giving you a lot of information, but I hope you're able to take this in and gain that more confidence that it is possible to definitely thrive professionally and personally here in this beautiful country. Next slide, please. This, again, as I mentioned before, is a question I'm asked way too often. Is racism a major issue in Canada? As I mentioned before, we have people from all over the world. I really feel like I'm a part of, I'm in a global village here where we have people from everywhere. And at any given time in one room, there are at least, and I'm talking about major cities here, like in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. So in the major city, there are at least 5-6 nationalities represented, and it's a country with diverse ethnicity and diversity, and people are very welcoming here. And again, it's a part of the culture here to respect others and others respect you as well. Personally, I have not experienced racism at all, and I've not heard a lot of people, I've not heard actually many, I don't think I've heard any of my friends mention in specific that there is racism, they've experienced racism personally, and that is because of the friendly and welcoming nature of the people here. Also, if there is something that you're uncomfortable with, or you're not, you just want questions with this regards, you can always approach different organizations, or there's so much support provided by the government. So personally, as I would say, I have not, and I don't think there is. So that is someplace, Canada is definitely a safe place. Again, I'm talking about it from not just from a far perspective, but I've been here, I've seen it, I've done it. Like it's a beautiful, safe country to be in. And that again starts with first us respecting different cultures and different people, and just bringing ourselves to it. I believe it's like, just as this picture shows, we're all in this together, and we support each other through whatever it is that we go through. And it's one of the reasons I think that there is no racism here is we're just so open to different cultures. Like, I'll just give you an example. Summer is here, and we have the Caribbean Festival happening this weekend. We had South Asian Festival happening last weekend. We had Festival of the Middle East happening last weekend as well. And so there is just so much openness to all the different groups and ethnicities. And so everyone are just one big family. So that's something that is a beautiful part about our country. Next, please. All right, is it too cold to survive in Canada? Well, thankfully for this topic, there are numbers that I can refer to. The temperature does range from minus 30 degrees Celsius to plus 40 degrees Celsius, to plus 30 degrees Celsius, but feels like could even go up to minus 35 in summers, like it's pretty hot today. It could go up to plus 35, but it is very much livable. Like, it's beautiful because there are 4 different seasons, 4 distinct different seasons: summer, spring, winter, summer. No, wait, let me go that again. Spring, fall, summer, spring, summer, fall, and winter. I can't believe I messed that up. But anyways, 4 distinct seasons, which are just beautiful to enjoy. And there are always things to do. I agree that almost 6 months, it's pretty cold, not like the rest of the world. But as I said, there is just so much to do during winter as well. I'm not like everyone else in this aspect, but definitely I love the winters because you can layer up. But during summers, there's just so much that you can do. So it's, as long as you have the right gear, have the right shoes, have the gear, and you will love it. I mean, I love a winter. So is it too cold to survive? Will you like not make it? You'll definitely make it. It is cold, but it is definitely doable, and it is like, as I said, there are different seasons you can enjoy as well. It's not only cold, it can get hot as well for those who like the tropical weathers. Next, please. All right, so this is the last one And not a lot of people have this myth, but it definitely is, and so I want to address it. It is, I would be judged for my accent. No, and that's again comes back to the same thing what I talked about in this in 2 slides before with the slide on racism. It is a very multicultural community, even at your workplace, even in your day-to-day life. It's very multicultural, and so people are exposed to different ethnicities, different cultures, different accents. And so again, from my experience, we're very welcoming to even different accents, because that part about respecting individuals is very high in our day, a very high in a very integral part of our day-to-day lives. But if you are conscious about it, there are ample opportunities to practice your English or your French if you want to learn that. So there is nothing to be shy of. And I know, I'll just give you one example. I'm a part of a group which helps international students who come to Canada, and it's called P2C. It's a student club in the University of Toronto, and we meet once a week with different, and like I volunteer there. A lot of different students come, and they're from all over the world, really, and a lot of the students just come here to learn English. But everyone brings their different parts, their different selves to the table. We're able to talk and communicate, learn about different cultures, and still no judgment whatsoever. So there are groups like that where you can learn and practice your English. Or there are even different ways that people are always willing to help, because as I said, it's an amazing, diverse community that we get to be a part of. So if you're conscious, or if you're afraid of that, I would say that I think that's a fear that you can keep aside, because it is a welcoming community of and an awesome place to even grow your skills. So with that, I would like to say again, thank you for having me here, and I hope that I was able to help break some of those myths that may have been kind of scary and say, is Canada the right place? I hope I was able to address some of those today. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I would love to address them.
Thank you so much, Christine. We definitely are going to move on to the questions. We do have quite a few already asked, but I want to say a special thank you. Thank you for including your YouTube. I have actually watched it, and allowing those in attendance to connect with you, because I really feel you have such added value, that you can provide and you can give to all in attendance that are seeking your help. And maybe some are trying to emulate your journey, because it's quite an interesting one. You do lead an interesting life. I know you're always trying to pay it forward and give back, and you're joining all these different mentoring groups. And I always remember you talking about meetups. So you were always networking, and you were always meeting people in our interaction. And we did speak every day back in 2019, but you were always meeting people. And that's part of your nature, but it's also the key to networking. So I applaud you in the great success that you've had so far since you've entered Canada. And what's resonating the most for me is that I too, I lived in the States for quite some time. I did all my schooling there, and I'm married and came here to Canada. And it was a culture shock for me in the sense of the workplace culture too. So similar to you, I think it's resonating so well with me, and it's bringing up all these memories. But thank you for pointing that out. And I completely agree with you with that, everything that's offered in Canada, and it is such a country that's always willing to help, and everybody's so friendly. And it's the reason why I fell in love with Canada too. So I completely agree with you on all those counts. So if we can just move on to some of the questions in the chat right now. They ask, Randraran, asked, how long did it take for you to find your first job in Canada?
Great question. So, as I mentioned, I came here in 2018. I was just taking some time to get settled in, and I talked to you about those 2.5 months of just crazy applying for jobs online with no effect. And then I did the program at ACCES. I think it was a 3 months program, but so that's January I started, and it was till March. And when I was in that program itself, like again, I gained all these skills and built my skill set, and did a lot of networking. And so from that point, I got a job right after I was almost finishing my program at ACCES. So it was around 5 months. Yeah, no, 5, 6. It was around 6 months. But again, I took that time to study. So that was a time where I was not applying for jobs.
Okay, thank you. And just to tack onto that question, and you spoke a lot about racism and everything, but they wanted to know, some people say that although Canada is multicultural, a multicultural country, people from different communities don't really mingle and befriend each other. Is that true? I think, those were the myths that you busted. So I think we would have to say it's not true, but if you want to tack on anything else, that would be great.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely not true. I can give you an example. I was out with some friends yesterday playing some board games in the High Park, and I think we had, among 6 of us, we had 4 different nationalities represented at the table. So definitely not true. It's a place where people definitely interact, but again, as immigrants or newcomers, it's totally up to us to take the call, because I have seen a lot of newcomers who want to just stay within their community. And so that's a personal choice. And there are options where you can just stay within your community and totally be okay. And that's, again, as I said, your personal choice. But if you do want to interact and mingle and really build your network within different communities, there are so many opportunities. And yeah, it's not true that everyone are just within their own community, but it's a personal choice.
Thank you so much for addressing that. And yes, it is your personal choice. It's your choice to mingle. It's your choice to learn about the different cultures, because you're right. There's going to be a packed weekend this weekend with events happening, and I follow all these pages on Instagram, and I'm like, yes, I want to attend this, but there's so many, you can't attend them all, because everyone has a festival and everyone has their own street in Toronto where their food is represented. And that was the biggest thing for me here, is like, wow, I can find my own food. Wow, there's so many choices of my own food here. Where do I go? So yeah, again, it's your own personal choice. It's your choice to mingle, but we highly encourage it, coming from Christine and I and the rest of my team for sure.
Yeah.
We have a question that was sent privately, but I'll go ahead and ask it right now. So that group at U of T with international students, it sounds really nice. I would like to know more. And they wanted to, I guess, reach out to you on LinkedIn. So they just wanted your feedback on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's called P2C Global. But yeah, just reach out to me. So I'll give you the exact, because it is a long. So we meet every Wednesday, and we just have like fun socials. So we were at Harbourfront last time. We went to the museum the week before. So there are always fun things that are happening. I know a group is going to Niagara Falls this Saturday. So yep, if you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect you to that group or give you more information.
I found a really good question in the Q&A, because I was in the chat for a bit. It asked, is there any event where I can meet up with new people and make new friends from different cultural backgrounds? So I think you are the expert on this, so I'll leave that to you. I mean, I've seen it on LinkedIn, but I'll leave that to you to address that one.
Absolutely. So is it, again, one of the follow-up questions I would have to that is, are you looking to, is it for a professional growth, or is it just to make friends, or is it to probably gain a skill? Because the reason I ask that is there are different groups for each of those things. For professional growth, for example, as I mentioned, I'm a part of a group which is Leading Cyber Ladies, and they have meetups happening almost every week. But then during summer, there's, as Ria mentioned, you'll have to pick and choose what you want to go to, because literally, if you want it, there's something happen. There are 2, 3 events happening every day. So meetups is a good place to look for professional uh, and other events, but meetups, LinkedIn, if you can look at different events, good place to find out things that are happening. And again, most of them, if not all, are either free or at lower price, not too expensive. So meetups are a great place. If you want to look for just to meet friends, like to hang out, there are a lot of meetup groups as well. And also, as Ria mentioned, a lot of festivals and things happening around the city. So that's great. And also, I know like the international group that I go to, that's a great community. And for me personally, on a personal level, like I am a person of faith. So for me, my church is a place where I meet a lot of international people. So that's something that, yeah, a lot of opportunities, as you said, like you, for the least, you just go to a park nearby and people are, again, very friendly. If someone's just playing soccer, just join them and they would be more than happy to have you play soccer with them. So yeah, if you want to play it safe, meetups is the place where you can register, and it's a formal thing.
Yes, I think, similar to, the saying that there's an app for that, there's a group for that. So whatever you want to achieve, meet new people, you want to, different culture, your own background, whatever you want to meet people in your career, like that sort of thing. There's a group for that, just like how there's an app for everything at Apple. So
For sure. Ria, if I can just add one more thing, another, I think it's a webpage. It's called 10,000 Cups of Coffee. That's again really great for meeting people on a professional basis if you want to learn about a skill or mentorship or things like that. So I've heard a lot of people being benefited by that.
Yes, that's actually funny that you mentioned that, because it is something we use within our own organization. So that's how we can network within our organization. So I've used it. I'm an advocate for it. I've actually mentored as well on it. So it is a great tool and something to utilize for networking. Do we have any more questions? What is your LinkedIn account, Christine? Just search her name, Christine Canary, and you will find her.
I'm the only Christine Canary.
I know. And you can't forget this face. It's such a pleasant one. So, you'll definitely find her. You're very welcome, Maria. I hope you found value in everything that Christine was able to share. It was her heartfelt, honest, and genuine journey that she shared with everyone today. So we thank you so much, Christine. I will hand it back to Naz for her final thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. I really enjoyed, as always, listening to you. I fully agree with you. Like especially one of my favorite slides is the ice skating one, because that's what happened. That's how I enjoy my winter here in Canada. And in terms of like accent, and if English is not your first language, so this is what exactly I experience here, especially at RBC. So we do have a culture about the diversity, and like you should not really need to worry about it, as exactly what you said. Lots of great tips, lots of great insight. I'm sure that all our attendees did really got benefits from what you just shared. As someone who is coming to Canada, they're working on their move. And thank you so much again for your time. And it was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ria, for moderating the questions, and thank you all of you for the great questions. I know there's I guess there's a couple of questions that left unanswered. Please feel free to reach out to us, or you can reach out to Christine, and we would love to stay connected with you guys. So, and in order to wrap it up perfectly, I would like to hand it over to Keisha.